So the ingredients that you're going to need for this particular jam are either fresh or frozen strawberries. Now you can use any strawberries you want, but I highly, highly recommend a good quality strawberry. Like going to the grocery store in the dead of winter and buying some strawberries that are there that are like completely white inside, don't bother. Don't bother trying to make jam out of that, because it's not going to have any flavor and you're going to be really disappointed. I'm using frozen strawberries from the strawberries that we grew in our garden last year. But I sometimes will purchase the strawberries from Costco. They're organic strawberries in the frozen section. They have really good flavor. You can tell that they're like a real strawberry. When I say real strawberry, the other strawberries are real, they're just not really ripe. I don't even know why they sell them, to be honest with you. They're awful. I bought some not that long ago for my daughter's birthday. And they were like white inside. And everybody ate them, but they didn't taste like a strawberry. They were awful. So a good quality strawberry is very important if you want your jam to taste good. And then a good quality sugar. I also use my sugar from Costco because it's, you know, it's one of the only bulk places that I can get stuff. Kirkland, I don't know. I like it. You know, you're never sure exactly where the sugar's coming from, and is it, you know, it's kosher. I don't know. I take what I can get. This is what I can get, and it's better than Rogers, like golden whatever sugar. So it's an organic sugar. It's really nice. It's a little bit darker, but it's like white sugar. It replaces my white sugar completely. You're gonna need a canning pot. Now this canning pot, you can't see it. I love this little canning pot. Get rid of the lid, and it has a rack. You want to have a wire rack. If you haven't got these things, you need to get them before you think you're going to make jam. It's very important. So this, like, if obviously I have one that's twice the size, and I have this little one. I don't even know where I got this. No idea. It just kind of showed up here in my house. People drop stuff off here. They didn't want it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. So I'm happy for it, and they didn't want it, so I got it, so I'm happy. That's not for everything. Anybody who's watching this video who lives by me, don't just drop anything off. It has to be something I want. So I really like this little pot, and I would recommend that if you're just doing smaller batches. I think I was able to get 10 jars in this little pot. That'll probably do you 6, maybe 8 jars. I haven't made a small batch of jam for a while. So I'm doing, this recipe is, I'm making like a huge amount of jam. I made, out of my strawberry, I made 14 jars of jam. So this would be like a double recipe. Well, it was 8 cups of berries and 8 cups of sugar. So anyways, you're gonna need a pot like this. And you're gonna need to purchase yourself, or I would say I would highly recommend that you purchase yourself one of these sorts of things. I think that's in French. Okay. I actually recently bought this because I have all of this somewhere. I am an avid canner, and somehow I have a box like this with all of these things in it, except there's one thing that this didn't come with, and I didn't look for it. And it came with something else that I didn't want. You get, it's like a plastic thing, and it's got little steps on it, and you can measure your headspace. Anybody here who's a canner knows what I'm talking about. I don't have one of those. And I was really, really upset when I bought this, and it came with this thing which I'm not quite sure what it's for. Something to do with probably, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to pick the jars up with that. I don't know what this thing is for. Somebody tell me, please. What is this for? But what I'm saying is be cautious when you buy this. I'm sure that there was probably one that had one of those plastic things in it. I just assumed that this was going to have the pieces in it that I wanted. It had the pieces in it that I needed. I don't actually have right here that came in this as well, is that that's upside down. Is that's your little funnel, I guess, kind of. It's not really like a funnel because it doesn't get super small, but it's like a funnel. Well, it probably says what they all are in here. Funnel. It is called a funnel. I'm so smart. SMRT. So what is that other thing called? Funnel, tongs, jar lifter, a magnetic lifter, and a jar wrench. Could somebody please tell me what the jar wrench is for if you are a canner? I've been canning for well over 10 years. And I can't find a use for it. So please tell me. Anyway, without further ado, on to the jam. Because I'm pretty sure that was everything. Was that everything? I think I went over all the things that you're going to need. And if I forgot anything, I'll mention it throughout the video. Okay, jam time. Okay, so I just transferred my strawberries over into my pot. And I'm thinking maybe I need a bigger pot. Probably. Yeah, I think there's too many for this pot. So now, without making a mess, now, I'm just going to put these on a really low heat, and it should melt them and not burn them. Okay, so these strawberries have melted, and they've come up to a boil, and now I'm adding in my sugar. Make sure that you stir it through thoroughly because there will be some lumps of sugar in there. Help it to dissolve by stirring it around. Okay, so this is 8 cups of berries and 8 cups of sugar. I'm just going to add a couple teaspoons of lemon juice. And we're going to bring this up to a boil. And we want it to boil rapidly for a while. And we're going to check it when it comes to gel stage, because we're not adding pectin to it. Then we can can it and jar it.
Boiling strawberries. Smell-o-vision. Okay. Strawberries.
Okay, so I forgot to record putting my butter in, but at this point, or at the point previous where it was boiled way up to the top, in order to stop it from boiling over and foaming a whole bunch, you stir it down and add a tablespoon of butter to it. And the butter will stop it from, and eventually completely eliminate all of the foam on top of your jam. So you just put it in there, let it melt, and stir it around. Okay, so I take some of my jam out of my pot. This has been boiling here for a good boil for, I don't know, 20 minutes maybe? Getting closer to half an hour. Oh, you guys see that better? And I take my jam out and I put it on a spoon like this on the counter. So I can tell, because that's so loose and it's fairly cool, that it's not ready. And I might turn that boil up a little. It tastes good though. So we just keep boiling and boiling and boiling fairly high. I did turn it down a bit because I'm trying to make dinner as well. Until when I do that on my spoon, it's thick, and when it gets cool, it's thick and it's like jam. That's the idea. Okay, we'll come back to you when this is all thickened up and I'm ready to go to my next step. Okay, so while you're waiting for your jam to thicken, you're going to want to prepare your jam jars. And if they aren't already sterilized, or if they're fresh new jars, like these ones here are fresh new jars, I do sterilize them when they're new. So you have to take the ring off and the lid off, or the snap lid, the sealing lid. You're going to want to get yourself, eventually here I do grab what I need. Let's go. What do you need? You need a bowl. Where's your bowl? There we go. So a bowl for the rings. And if only I was organized here. You also need a pot for the lid part, because we're going to put water in that and heat it up. So just remove all of your rings and lids. Separate them. The yellow bowl is just so that they're not laying all over the place. And that's how I do it. And from there you're going to put them into your canning pot, which is already filled up with water, it can be boiling water already, or it doesn't have to be boiling water. I'm pretty sure here it's not boiling water yet, because I'm kind of ahead of myself here. So you can put it in with cold water. We're just heating up the water and sterilizing this. Put all your jars in your water. Make sure that they're all full of water. Eventually I get them all in. And then lower it down into the water. As I said, make sure that they're all covered over, and turn it on to high and boil it. Once it starts boiling, you want to boil it for 10 minutes, and that'll sterilize your jars. So here our jars are boiled and sterilized and ready to be filled with hot, boiling jam. So get your workspace all set up for yourself, your jam, your lids, which you've heated in a pot. The pot there was on the stove, just on low, keeping those, the lids with the rubber seal warm. You just want that rubber seal to be warm. And I'm taking my jars out. I do take all of my jars out of my hot water. Some people say that you should keep it in the hot water. I just take it right out and put them all on the counter. My kitchen was pretty warm today. And this is how full it should be. I think it's about a 1/4 inch headspace. And you grab yourself a lid. Careful, because water gets stuck in there and it can be hot and burn you. And you put that on top. You put a ring on top. And you put that back into your canning pot. So continue filling the rest of your jars, and make sure that you wipe the rims of your jars, the top part of your jar. If any jam got on there, when you put your lid on, it won't seal properly. So you just make sure you give it a wipe with a clean cloth or a paper towel, and that'll ensure that you get a good seal. Okay, so here are our jars of jam. We're going to lower them down into the water, into the hot water. This water already boiled, so it won't take long for it to come back up to boiling. So this is what they call a hot water bath, and I'm just using that to measure to make sure there's an inch of space between the top of the jar and where the water sits in the pot. So there's an inch of water over top of all the jars. So we're going to set a lid on this and let it boil. Once it boils, let it boil for 10 minutes. Remove all your jars from your pot, and I wipe the water off the top of them. I usually put them onto a tea towel on the counter. And then once they've cooled, I just put them into the box that they came in. It's easier to transfer them around like that.